Darkness and Fogcloud, aren't they basically the same? Not quite. While they both obscure vision, the way they interact with enemies, allies and key mechanics makes all the difference. Let's break them down and uncover their hidden tactical potential. Both Fogcloud and Darkness are available from multiple sources. For a full list, check the wiki link in the video description. The Cloak of Cunning Broom grants unlimited Fogclouds by activating the Disengage action. You can block an enemy's line of sight, allowing you to act as if you are behind a wall. This is extremely useful for sneaking around, stealing items from the environment or pickpocketing NPCs without being seen. As long as the item is inside the cloud, behind it, or the NPC is right next to the cloud, they won't notice it's gone. However, if you're present when the cloud spell ends, NPCs will accuse you of stealing. So make sure to leave before the location of the missing items become visible again, or the freshly robbed NPCs will realize you are the only possible thief. Item highlighting with the Alt key doesn't work within the cloud, but if you have Devil's Hide, it works both inside and outside the cloud for both Fogcloud and Darkness. It's generally better to cast the cloud to block NPCs' vision rather than placing it directly above them. When inside the cloud, you can enter stealth freely, as long as the enemy doesn't have Devil's Hide. Entering sneak mode doesn't require a stealth check and always succeeds inside either of those cloud effects. Exceptions are enemies with Devil's Hide. They can see through both Fogcloud and Darkness, even when you're trying to stealth. If you are in a Fogcloud and the devil-sighted enemy is outside of it, or if you're using Darkness and the enemy is either inside or outside the cloud, you will need to succeed in a stealth check, just like when you are in a partially obscured area. If they fail to uncover your stealth and no other party members are present, they will end the fight and heal to full HP. And if you cast Fogcloud directly above an enemy with Devil's Hide, they will be blinded, allowing you to enter the cloud and stealth freely. In this case, your Fogcloud will act like it does with any other normal enemy. Dark Vision or Superior Dark Vision doesn't seem to help against Fogcloud or Darkness at all. Both Darkness and Fogcloud inflict blindness on all creatures within their area of effect. However, while both obscure vision, they interact with ranged attacks and spells differently. Darkness completely nullifies the range of spells and ranged attacks, making it impossible to target anything beyond yourself. Fogcloud limits visibility but still allows for short range actions. You won't be able to target enemies outside the cloud, but you can still cast spells like summons on the ground or heal allies standing right in front of you. Casting these spells can sometimes trigger combat. If all visible NPCs are caught in the effect and you stay inside, combat may not start. However, if any unstealth party members remains outside and visible, they may be blamed for the hostile act. Some NPCs may turn hostile the moment you step out of the cloud, even if they never saw you cast a spell. Others may remain neutral, depending on their positioning at the time of casting and how long you stay inside the cloud. NPCs generally avoid entering Fogcloud or Darkness, making both spells effective for area denial. This can keep NPCs out of key zones unless they are already aggressive. Without Devil's Hide, both Darkness and Fogcloud block vision, preventing you from attacking or casting spells from inside the cloud to targets outside. However, if you're standing outside a Fogcloud, you can freely target enemies inside or behind it without issue. If not in combat and you're outside the cloud with a fog between you and your target, it functions like a budget greater invisibility, requiring a stealth check after each attack to stay hidden. Failing will put you into combat. Even if you remain hidden, attacking from stealth generates noise, alerting enemies. They will begin searching the area, increasing the risk of being discovered if you don't reposition. If an enemy is already in combat, neither spell will prevent you from entering turn-based mode, unless you're far enough away to avoid detection. Attacking a blinded enemy grants advantage on attack rolls. Without Devil's Hide, you cannot target anything inside Darkness, not even the ground. Since all creatures inside Fogcloud are blinded, you always have advantage on attack rolls against them from outside the cloud. If an enemy is behind the cloud but not inside, you attack normally. Some throwing attacks and jump maneuvers might bypass Darkness, which could be a bug. If elevated above Darkness, some ranged attacks can sometimes pierce through the spell's effect. If both melee combatants are inside Darkness or Fogcloud, they are equally blinded and attacks normal. If one fighter is inside the spell's effect and blinded, while the other remains outside, the blinded attacker suffers disadvantage while the one outside gains advantage on their attacks. Both clouds allows you to steal unnoticed. Enter turn-based mode, cast the cloud at the edge of an NPC's base, so they're just outside its highlighted area and not marked as a target, and steal from within the cloud. Ensure all party members remain inside the cloud. Once stealing is complete, return to camp before the cloud fades to avoid NPCs detecting the theft. Use minor illusion to lure NPCs away from valuable items, then block their return path with Fogcloud or Darkness. Enter turn-based mode, loot everything while NPCs remain outside, and leave before the spell ends so they don't get the chance to notice that something is missing. Place Fogcloud between you and your enemies before combat begins. The cloud blocks the enemy's vision. Once combat starts, enemies can attack through it. Amplify your assault with Pass Without Trace for near undetectable sniping. You don't need to crouch for this to count as stealth shooting. Stealth checks will be rolled even while standing, just like when you are invisible. Use turn-based mode to reposition while enemies search for you inside the fog. Pair this with silence from a third party member to prevent enemies from reacting to your attacks. You still have to succeed at stealth checks though. Be aware, if enemies are completely unaware of your presence, they can't see you and they can't hear you. Your attacks effectively don't exist to them. As a result, they may as well just heal back to full every round. Cast Fogcloud or Darkness in a favorable spot. Attack from outside the cloud, then step inside and use stealth before the end of your turn. Enemies will not leave combat, but will struggle to locate you. You can trivialize many fights of the game this way. If in a party, this tactic can redirect enemies towards more tanky party members. Classes with bonus action stats include Shadow Monks at level 3, Gloomstalker Rangers at level 3, and all rogues from level 2 on. These classes can exploit this tactic to reposition safely and manipulate enemy II, making combat significantly easier. Shadow Monks are natural darkness specialists, excelling early on due to high melee and above average throwing damage due to Tavern Brawler, bonus action stats, multiple darkness casts per short rest. Shadow Monks are really strong in the level range 3 to 5, making them an early game powerhouse. While open hand monks outscale them in raw damage later, and can access a lot of their flexibility through multiclassing, especially with rogue and items down the road, Shadow Monks offer a great versatility and a devastating punch in the early game. Of the two spells, only Fogcloud can be upcast to increase its radius, making it a powerful tool for battlefield control. When setting up a corridor of hazardous surfaces for enemies to cross, Darkness is often a poor choice, as it completely disables your team's ranged attacks as well. In contrast, an upcast Fogcloud can be strategically placed to keep enemies blinded while still allowing your team to attack freely. A Fogcloud cast at level 3 or higher is especially effective at preventing enemies from jumping past hazards, forcing them to remain blind and vulnerable. A Darkness spell can divide the battlefield into two strategic sections. Ranged enemies cannot shoot inside the darkness, they are forced to wait outside. Melee enemies will enter the darkness, where they are just as blind as you. Engage melee enemies first, then step out to attack ranged enemies before retreating back inside at the end of your turn. This tactic works exceptionally well with paladins, fighter and monk builds who thrive in close combat. Clerics have exceptional synergy with this strategy, thanks to two powerful spells that become even stronger inside Darkness. Spiritual Weapon is immune to Blindness, granting it advantage against other melee enemies while also being impervious to range damage. Spiritual Guardian forces enemies to take damage while moving toward you, while you remain safe from opportunity attacks from moving between melee attackers inside Darkness. This makes Clerics a perfect battle companions for a Darkness user. Additionally, Guardian of Phase works well in this setup. It cannot be blinded, but you must be placed inside the area before casting Darkness, or have Devil's Sight and summon it directly into the spell zone. Blindness immunity in BG3 functions similarly to Devil's Sight, but with additional benefits. Unlike Devil's Sight, it makes you completely immune to negative effects from both Darkness and Fogcloud. Inside Darkness, ranged enemies cannot target you while you gain advantage against them. Inside both Fogcloud and Darkness, melee enemies suffer disadvantage against you while you attack them with advantage. This makes Blindness immunity gear an incredibly powerful tool for controlling the battlefield. Key items that provide Blindness immunity are the Everside Ring, the Shah Spear of Evening, the Helder's Helmet and the Steel Watcher Helmet. In BG3, two cloud effects cannot exist in the same location simultaneously. Casting Fogcloud or Darkness over dangerous enemy clouds will remove them. If you enjoy in-depth spell analysis and tactical breakdowns, please like and subscribe to stay updated with more content. Keep gaming.